The silent drill in the void. The ship drifted slowly through the black sea of space. Its engines hummed low, pushing the heavy metal body forward. On the outside, it looked nothing more than a cargo hauler with a large drill fixed to its front. To anyone passing by, it was unremarkable. Just another human mining ship, built not for war or glory, but for work. Inside, the crew moved through the narrow halls with practiced steps. They were not soldiers. They were workers, men and women who had signed contracts for long months away from Earth, away from home, in exchange for paychecks and the promise of adventure. Their ship was called the Perseverance, and it had one mission: drill into the rocks of deep space and bring back whatever the Earth corporations demanded. Captain Elric sat in the command chair, watching the dark view ahead. The stars stretched endless, far brighter out here than on Earth. He had seen this view for years, yet tonight something about it felt different. The silence pressed harder, heavier, as if the void was not empty at all, but watching. "Captain," said Mira, the ship's engineer, her voice crackling over the comm. "We've located a new asteroid belt. Coordinates locked." Elric leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Composition?" "Unknown," Mira replied. "Strange readings. The scanners can't identify the mineral, but it looks dense. Could be valuable. Valuable meant pay. Valuable meant survival." Mining crews were always on the edge of risk. Ship repairs, fuel shortages, the constant danger of equipment failure. If they found something rare, it could change their fortunes. "Bring us closer," Elric ordered. The ship adjusted its course, engines flaring blue as it glided toward the drifting belt of rock. As they neared, the crew gathered at the main observation window. The asteroid at the center of the belt was massive, larger than any station they had ever docked at. Its surface was jagged, yet smooth in certain places, as if cut by hands that were not human. "It doesn't look natural," Mira whispered. No one answered. They all thought the same thing. The drill arm extended. It was a giant piece of machinery, reinforced and sharpened with human steel. To the crew, it was just a tool. To the captain, it was survival. And yet, as the drill began to spin, there was a quiet unease in the air. The sound was a low vibration, traveling through the metal walls of the ship. The drill touched the asteroid's surface, sparks flaring as steel met stone. At first it was normal. Dust floated off into the void, the drill cutting deeper and deeper. But then the asteroid responded. A pulse of light rippled through the rock. It was faint, like the glow of something buried within. The crew froze, staring. "Did you see that?" whispered Joran, the youngest member of the team. The drill kept spinning. The glow grew stronger. Lines of light spread across the asteroid's surface, like veins waking from a long sleep. Mira's hands flew over her console. "Captain, I'm reading energy inside the rock. This isn't a simple asteroid." Elric's voice was calm, but his heart pounded.
"Shut down the drill." But it was too late.
The machine ground forward, and with one final push, it broke through. The rock split open, revealing a hollow chamber beneath. From within, a bright flare of orange light burst out, washing across the mining ship. Every screen on the bridge flickered. The lights dimmed, then steadied. The crew stared at the hole in the asteroid. What lay inside was not stone, it was metal. Layer after layer of alien design, curved and sharp, glowing faintly with power. "It's a structure," Mira whispered. Buried under the rock, the drill had not just broken through an asteroid. It had unearthed something ancient, something that had been sleeping in the dark for longer than humanity had existed. Elric stood slowly. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the ship. "Send a scan. I want to know what we're looking at." The scan came back fragmented, confused. The computers could not understand what they were reading. The energy signature was too advanced, too alien. Far from the Perseverance, across the void of space, signals rippled outward. The pulse from the awakened structure traveled faster than light, reaching ears that were not human. In distant corners of the galaxy, alien fleets stirred. Leaders whispered in alarm. Humans had touched what no one dared to touch. On the Perseverance, the crew remained silent, staring at the glowing hollow they had opened. The drill hung still, its job finished, yet what it had uncovered was only beginning. Elric looked out into the dark, his eyes hard. Somewhere deep inside, he knew they had crossed a line. They had woken something, and the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. In the endless quiet of space, the mining drill spun down to silence. But the echoes of what it had done were already spreading, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy trembled. Aliens who underestimated humans, far beyond the Perseverance. The pulse that came from the awakened structure traveled like a scream across the stars. It was not sound, but it carried weight. It carried fear. It reached systems where alien civilizations had lived for thousands of years. Empires with fleets stronger than anything humanity could dream of felt the tremor. On the planet Veyron, in a council chamber made of glass and crystal, the Eldari leaders met. They were tall, thin beings with silver skin that glowed faintly under the light of their twin suns. For them, humans were little more than children, an upstart species that had barely left its home star. They had always laughed at human technology. It was crude, loud, and simple. The Eldari believed humans had no place in the affairs of great empires, but now the council was silent. "The signal is real," spoke High Seer Velas, his voice like a whisper of wind. "The humans have drilled into the relic." A murmur spread across the chamber. Fear, confusion. "It cannot be," another leader argued. "They are miners. They do not even understand what they have touched." Velas shook his head slowly. "It does not matter. They have awakened it. The relic stirs again, after countless ages. Across the galaxy, in the war chambers of the Thark Dominion, the news brought anger instead of fear. The Thark were a brutal species, their bodies heavy with scales and armor. Their fleets stretched across hundreds of systems, and to them, humans were no more threatening than insects. "They dare," growled Warlord Garrick, his claws scraping the metal table. "With their toy drill, they open what is forbidden. Send the fleets. Crush their ship and bury the humans before they learn what they hold." The orders spread quickly. Alien ships turned their bows toward the small human mining vessel, drawn like predators to prey. Meanwhile, on the Perseverance, the crew remained unaware of the storm building around them. Mira studied the scans again and again, but the data made no sense. The structure was too advanced, its design older than any human record. "It's like—" She hesitated, searching for words. "It's like we drilled into the bones of a giant machine." Captain Elric listened, his expression grim. He had been in space long enough to trust his instincts, and his instincts told him this was more than metal and energy. "Keep the drill offline," he ordered. "We'll wait and watch." But waiting would not save them. The first alien fleet arrived without warning. A dozen sleek ships shimmered into view, surrounding the Perseverance like wolves circling a lone beast. The crew froze as alarms filled the ship. "Captain, unidentified vessels," Joran shouted. His young voice cracked with fear. Elric stood slowly, his eyes hard. "Open comms. Let's hear what they want." The screen lit up, showing the stern face of an Eldari commander. His silver skin glowed, his eyes cold. "Human vessel," the commander said. His voice was calm, but it carried sharpness like a blade. "You have trespassed. The relic you touched is forbidden. Shut down your systems and prepare to be boarded." Mira's hands shook on the console. "Captain, their weapons are locked on us." Elric did not flinch. "Tell them we are miners. Tell them we didn't know." The message was sent. The Eldari commander's face remained expressionless. "Ignorance does not excuse your crime. You have awakened what should remain buried. If you will not surrender, you will be destroyed." The crew exchanged terrified glances. Their ship was a miner's tool, not a battleship. Its drill was made for rock, not war. They could not fight an alien fleet. And yet, in the silence that followed, something unexpected happened. The relic inside the asteroid pulsed again. The light spread brighter this time, washing across the Perseverance and the alien ships alike. Alarms screamed on the Eldari vessels. Systems flickered. Shields weakened, and in the center of it all, the mining drill of the Perseverance began to hum again, without power from the crew. It spun slowly, glowing faintly, as if the relic itself had chosen to wake it. Mira gasped. The drill! It's resonating with the structure, Elric's heart pounded. What was once just a machine, a simple human tool, now glowed with alien energy. The Eldari commander shouted orders, his calm mask breaking. His ships pulled back, their systems struggling to respond. The humans, still confused, watched as their mining drill cut through the empty air, humming with power no one understood. They're afraid, Joran whispered, his eyes wide. Aliens, they're afraid of us. For the first time in the history of space, the balance shifted. The humans, with their crude drill, had touched something greater than the galaxy had known. And now, the mighty empires that once laughed at them felt the first taste of fear. Elric stood firm, watching the alien ships retreat into the distance. His crew waited for his words. Finally, he spoke quietly. They think we are dangerous now, he said. And maybe we are. The Perseverance drifted in silence once more, but the galaxy had changed. What was once a simple mining drill was now a mystery, a weapon and a threat. And across the stars, every empire prepared for what was coming. The first contact of fear. The relic pulsed again. Bright orange light glowed through the cracks of the asteroid, and for a moment it was as if a star had awakened inside cold stone. The Perseverance floated beside it, small and fragile, yet tethered now to something far greater. Captain Elric stood on the bridge, his crew watching the scanners. Every screen flashed with warnings and numbers that made no sense. Energy levels spiked beyond their understanding. Whatever they had drilled into was alive in some way, not with flesh, but with power older than any human mind could measure. Mira pressed her trembling hands against her console. Captain, the drill it's absorbing energy. I don't know how. It shouldn't be possible. Elric did not answer at once. His eyes were on the dark around them. The Eldari ships had withdrawn after the last pulse, but they had not gone far. They lingered, waiting, afraid yet unwilling to leave. Elric knew others would come. The galaxy was watching now, and then more ships arrived. These were not Eldari. The sky lit up with jagged silhouettes of the Thark Dominion's war cruisers. Their hulls were thick with spikes, their engines burning like fire. Unlike the Eldari, the Thark did not hesitate. They came with weapons hot, eager to strike. Multiple hostiles incoming, Joran cried. His young voice cracked again, fear raw in his throat. Elric's jaw tightened. All stations brace for impact. The first blasts came fast. Beams of searing plasma lanced toward the Perseverance, but just as they struck, the relic pulsed again. The mining drill spun to life, glowing brighter than before, and the plasma beams scattered like water against stone. The Perseverance shuddered but remained whole. Silence followed even from the crew. They hit us. And nothing happened, Mira whispered. Her voice was filled with disbelief. Elric narrowed his eyes. It's not us. It's the drill. It's shielding us somehow. On the Thark flagship, Warlord Garrick roared in rage. Impossible. They are miners. Crush them. The Thark fleet surged forward. More fire rained down, each blast absorbed, twisted, and thrown aside by the glowing hum of the drill. Sparks danced across the Perseverance's hull, but it held. Elric stared at the sight, with a strange feeling in his chest. It was not victory, not yet, but something close. The drill was no longer just a machine. It was a weapon, and it had chosen them. The relic pulsed once more, but this time something else happened. A voice filled the ship, not in sound but in thought. A deep vibration that shook their minds. Who awakens the Keeper? The crew froze. Joran's hands dropped from his console, his face pale. Mira gasped and clutched her head. The voice was not human, yet it spoke inside them as if it had always been there. Elric gripped the arm of his chair. His voice came low and steady. We are humans, miners. We did not mean to awaken you. The silence that followed was long, heavy. Then the voice returned, colder than the void. For ages, none dared touch the Keeper. Empires feared it, and now Humans awaken it with a drill of stone and fire." The words carried both wonder and warning. Mira whispered, her lips trembling. "Captain, it knows us." Outside, the Thark fleet fired again, desperate, unwilling to stop. The relic responded. From the cracks in the asteroid, arcs of orange light shot outward, striking the Thark ships. The cruisers shook violently. One shattered completely, ripped apart by a single strike. On the Perseverance, the crew watched with wide eyes. Joran's voice broke the silence. "It's fighting for us." Elric's heart pounded. He could not be sure if the relic fought for them, or simply against those who dared attack it. Either way, the result was the same. Humans were now at the center of something far greater than a mining job. The surviving Thark ships turned sharply, retreating into the dark. Warlord Garrick's rage echoed in their comms before the signal cut. "This is not over, humans. The galaxy will burn you for this." When the battle was over, only silence remained. The Perseverance floated beside the glowing relic, its drill still humming with alien power. Elric looked at his crew. "You've all seen it. We can't undo this. Whatever this thing is, the galaxy is coming for us." Mira nodded, her face pale, but her eyes burning with awe. "But Captain," "The galaxy is afraid. For the first time they're afraid of us." Elric turned back to the view of the relic, its glow steady, alive. In his gut, he felt it was only the beginning. The first contact had not been peace, not a handshake, not words of friendship. It had been fear. Fear from the aliens and fear from the humans themselves. The Perseverance was no longer just a mining ship. It was a spark. And in the endless void, sparks had a way of becoming fire. Humanity's hidden strength. The Perseverance drifted in uneasy silence. The drill, once nothing more than a machine for breaking stone, now glowed faintly with the strange power of the relic. The crew moved carefully through the ship, whispering as if afraid to wake something greater. They had survived the first attack, but survival only brought new questions. Mira had hardly left her console since the relic had pulsed. Her fingers tapped across the screens, pulling data, running scans, trying to make sense of what she saw. The numbers were beyond her training. No human textbooks had ever written about energy like this. "Captain," she said finally, her voice trembling with both fear and wonder. "The drill is not just absorbing energy. It's changing. The metal itself is rewriting." Elric stepped closer, looking over her shoulder. The display showed the drill's molecular structure shifting, lines of energy threading through every seam of steel. The drill was no longer just human engineering. It was becoming something new, part human, part alien. "Can we control it?" Elric asked quietly. Mira shook her head. "I don't know if we can even understand it. But whatever it is, Captain, it's responding to us. It listens." Before Elric could reply, Joran rushed into the bridge. His eyes were wide, his voice shaking. "Captain, long-range scans just picked up more ships. Dozens of them. Different species. They're all heading here." The words hit like a stone dropped into still water. The galaxy was coming. Not for the humans, not for the Perseverance, but for the relic. And yet, because the drill had touched it, the humans now stood at the center of it all. Elric closed his eyes for a moment, steadying his breath. Then he spoke, his voice strong. "They think we're weak. They think we don't belong out here. But today, we showed them something they didn't expect. We are not turning back." The crew exchanged glances. Fear still lingered, but alongside it something else began to grow. Resolve. Hours later, the alien fleets arrived. Ships from rival empires filled the dark sky, their hulls shining with countless designs. Sleek Eldari vessels, jagged Thark warships, and others unknown to human eyes. They did not come to fight one another. For once they were united in purpose. All wanted to claim the relic. And all saw the humans as intruders. The comms filled with voices, alien tongues layered with anger and warning. The message was clear: surrender the relic or be destroyed. Elric stood tall at the center of the bridge. "Open a channel," he ordered. The faces of alien commanders filled the screen. A council of species who had ruled the galaxy long before humans had even walked on Earth. Elric's voice was calm, But every word struck like iron. We are miners. We are workers. We did not come here for war. But you should know this. Humans do not surrender. We survive, we endure. We build with what we have, even if it is only stone and steel. And if you come for us, then remember this. What you fear is not our drill, but our will. The words were simple, yet they carried weight. For the first time, the mighty empires of the galaxy heard humanity speak not as children, but as equals. The aliens did not listen. Their fleets began to move, weapons charging. But before they could fire, the relic pulsed again. The drill spun, brighter this time, glowing with a storm of energy. The Perseverance shook as the machine reached out into space. A beam of pure force burst forward, slicing through the dark like a blade of light. The beam struck one of the nearest warships. To the humans, it was a miracle. To the aliens, it was terror. The warship, massive and armored, split in two like paper. The crew gasped, the sight burning into their minds. A simple mining drill had destroyed what no human weapon could have scratched. Mira covered her mouth with trembling hands. "Captain, do you understand? It isn't just protection. It can attack. It can cut through anything." Elric's face was stone. His mind turned with questions, but one truth settled in his heart. The galaxy would never see them the same again. The alien fleets hesitated. Fear rippled through their formations. Commanders shouted, ships pulled back. They had come to crush a mining crew, but now they faced something else entirely. Something they could not explain, something they could not fight. The humans were no longer beneath them. They were dangerous. Inside the Perseverance, Joran whispered the thought on everyone's mind. "Captain, what if the relic chose us?" Elric said nothing. He only stared at the drill, its glow reflecting in his eyes. Whether by fate, by chance, or by something greater, they had been given power. And power always demanded a price. The fleets withdrew, but not in surrender. They would return with greater numbers, with greater plans. The galaxy would not forget this day. Elric turned to his crew, his voice low but steady. "We are alone. No one is coming to help us. The empires fear us now, but fear can turn quickly to hate. We must decide what kind of future we carve with this drill. If it can change the galaxy, then so can we." The Perseverance drifted forward, the relic glowing beside it, the drill humming like the heartbeat of a giant. Humanity had always been underestimated, but now the truth began to spread through the stars. Humans were builders, humans were survivors, and when given even the simplest of tools, they could turn them into weapons strong enough to shake empires. The galaxy had seen humanity's hidden strength, and nothing would ever be the same again. The drill that changed the galaxy, the Perseverance drifted in the shadow of the relic. The drill still glowed faintly, humming like a heart that refused to stop beating. For days, the crew remained on edge, waiting for the next wave of fleets, the next demand to surrender, the next attack that might crush them. But the stars remained quiet. Too quiet, Elric knew why. The empires were not gone. They were watching. Across the galaxy, their fleets circled, holding back. They did not want to strike blindly. They wanted to understand. They wanted to see what the humans would do next. On the bridge, Mira worked in silence, her eyes fixed on the data flowing across her screens. Every hour, she discovered something new about the drill. Every discovery only made her more unsettled. "Captain," she said one morning, her voice heavy, "the drill is no longer just ours. It's linked to the relic now. If we leave, if we try to abandon it, it will still follow us. It has chosen us." Elric studied her, then looked at the drill's glow outside the viewport. He thought of Earth, of the billions of lives who had no idea what had been awakened. He thought of the alien empires, with their fleets and their arrogance, who now feared the miners they once mocked. "Then we don't run," Elric said at last. "We stand." Not long after, the silence broke. A council of alien leaders broadcast across the void, their faces appearing on every human screen. Silver Eldari eyes, scarred Thark jaws, and dozens of others glared at the Perseverance. "You have taken what is forbidden," one voice said. "You are a danger to every star," another added. Humans must surrender the relic or be destroyed. Elric stood tall, facing the storm. He spoke not only to the crew, but to the galaxy itself. "We didn't take it," he said. "We found it, with our own hands, with our own tools. You all feared it for centuries. You left it buried, but we are not afraid to dig. That is who we are. Humans build. Humans endure. And if this drill has changed the galaxy, then it is because you never thought we could." The words were simple, but they carried the weight of truth. For a long moment, the alien council was silent. Then the fleets advanced. The Perseverance shook as the stars filled with fire. Dozens of warships surged forward, their weapons burning brighter than suns. The crew braced for the end. But before the first strike could land, the relic pulsed again. This time the drill did not simply defend. It unleashed. A wave of light burst outward, sweeping across space. Alien ships twisted, as if struck by invisible blades. Hulls cracked, shields melted, and fleets that had stood for centuries broke apart in moments. The crew watched, stunned, as empires that once ruled the stars scattered before the power of a mining ship. When the light faded, the sky was empty. The fleets were gone, destroyed, scattered, or fleeing into the darkness. Only the Perseverance remained, glowing with the quiet hum of the drill. No one spoke. The silence felt heavier than the battle. Finally, Mira whispered, "We changed everything." Elric nodded slowly. He did not smile. He did not feel triumph. Only the weight of what had happened. "They will not forgive us," he said. "But they will never underestimate us again." Word spread faster than light. Across every empire, stories grew. The humans, with their crude tools and stubborn hearts, had awakened the relic and wielded it like no one else could. The drill became a symbol, not of destruction, but of the will to shape destiny with one's own hands. On distant worlds, children whispered about humans who broke the unbreakable. On battle stations, generals spoke in hushed tones of the mining ship that humbled fleets. And in the halls of power, alien rulers admitted a truth they had long denied. Humanity had arrived. The Perseverance turned away from the relic at last, carrying its crew back into the dark. They did not know what awaited them. More battles, more fear, more eyes watching from the shadows. But one thing was certain. The galaxy would never be the same again, for in the void, with nothing but a drill of steel and fire, the humans had changed everything, and the relic's hum followed them still.